I've officially made it to my mid 30s and can honestly say that my body no longer functions like it did when I was in my early 20s. Back then, I couldn't keep the weight on. I ate whatever I wanted and didn't have a consistent workout routine. I would take college classes like Pilates and dance to get my exercise in. And after graduation, I did invest in a gym membership, mostly because the weight was slowly sticking more than it normally had. Now I consistently work out 5 days a week and have for years. My diet has been a little harder to build consistency with, and that's why I'm so excited to welcome Dr. Lisa Folden to the show today. Her company, Healthy Phit, specializes in weight inclusive physical therapy, health and body image coaching, and guidance on sustaining a well balanced diet. We're talking all things healthy habits and how women can build them. Hey there, I'm Rhea Reeves, and over a decade ago, I turned my life around through budgeting. I went from being an overspender deep in credit card debt to being the founder and full-time money coach of City Girl Savings. Now, I help women work towards their dream life and tap into their financial power one budget at a time. I fully believe you can live a life you love with a budget, and I'm living proof. The weekly City Girl Savings podcast focuses on the intersection of money and the City Girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial. Healthy Phit Physical Therapy and Wellness Consultants was founded in 2013 by Dr. Lisa Folden, who wanted to create a holistic practice focused solely on the client's total health and wellness. Based in Charlotte, North Carolina, Healthy Phit serves a wide array of clients in varying body types, shapes, and sizes, as well as anyone needing assistance after injuries or with chronic conditions impacting the bones, muscles, and nerves, and including those resulting from eating disorders. Dr. Lisa and Healthy Phit have been featured in Oprah Magazine, Weight Watchers, Shape Magazine, The Wall Street Journal, and more. Well, hello, Lisa. So happy to welcome you to the show. I already gave a brief introduction about Healthy Phit, but I would love if you could just share your background and how you got into the holistic health space.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, so my story goes, I was the kid who always wanted to be in healthcare, and I was going to be a pediatrician when I was like yay high. And when I was 16, I went to see my pediatrician and I was going to ask him about medical school. And that didn't work out because he was only in the room with me for about 10 seconds. So I went home and typed onto the brand new internet careers in medicine where you get to work with athletes or sports type stuff. And I found sports medicine, which made me find physical therapy. And I decided at 16 I'd be a physical therapist, and I did. And that process was crazy and wonderful. But when I got into the field, I was very traditionally trained. So everything was very, Western medicine, very much like weight is an issue, always an issue, something you should be working to change and fix. And then I started to have my own battles with weight and body size and body image. And that informed me and informed my work. I started getting some education around why we do the things that we do to ourselves in the name of health. And it just changed my whole life. And that was probably 2019 or so. And that's after I had been practicing for like 12 years as a physical therapist and a health coach. So shifted my perspective very significantly. And I got more into the holistic world of considering mind, body, and soul when we're talking about health, as opposed to our culture's dominant system, which is diet culture, which focuses primarily on aesthetics, the way your body looks. But it's been life-changing for me and for my clients. So I know I had to kind of go through that path to get here. So I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like I'm probably 6 years behind you because my holistic health journey kind of just started very randomly. And I wanted to just share this experience I've had and get your thoughts on it, especially because you're so experienced in this space. But I actually sought out a naturopathic doctor for allergy related reasons. Like, I
Mhm.
was congested and my primary care doctor wasn't really giving me much attention. So I went to see her about 2 months ago and she completely rocked my world. I mean, she gave me guidance on the way I was eating, the supplements I was not taking. And she even
Mhm.
looked at my blood work. And all of the feedback she gave me was incredibly helpful. For context, in the past, I have done the keto diet, I've done juice cleanses, I've done these things to try to lose weight because it kept coming on. And
Mhm.
for much of my life, Dr. Lisa, weight was never a problem. But doing these diets, I mean, once I was done, the weight would come back with a vengeance. And
Yeah.
I even had a 2 week period on keto. So I knew, you know what, that's not the way to go. I just maybe need to change what I'm eating. And
Mhm.
after 2 years of doing that and maybe not doing it the best that I could, all the while staying active, I decided to go see this doctor again for allergies. But since I've seen her in the past 2 months, I mean, she's put me on the right supplements for my hormones. She's had me
Mhm.
remove gluten and dairy from my diet, and I'm eating much cleaner. And it's just totally impacted the way I feel, the way my gut is functioning. And
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know the power of, the work you and other holistic experts do. And I would love your thoughts on that because I'm sure you've probably seen this more times than you can count. And over
Mhm.
here, I'm just amazed.
No, I get it. I have a good friend actually who's a naturopathic physician, and I've worked with her. And I'll say this, I have many thoughts, but I'll say this, my one disclaimer. Diet culture is this one beast that we kind of know, right? We know it's like keto and Atkins and all these Weight Watchers and restrict, over exercise, and this is your result. You'll be healthier and happier and more beautiful, right? I think we're starting to learn that that's a farce. There's
Mhm.
another sector to this diet culture machine, and it is in the wellness and the holistic world. And it's a softer approach, but it's the same result. It's like, hey, if you just don't eat this and don't eat that and work on this and work on that, you'll be happier and healthier and smaller. And it's a trap that I want people to be mindful of because, yes, you can go see a naturopathic doctor, a reputable one who is knowledgeable and understands, and they can run your blood work and they can find some issues that can explain why you've always had this problem.
Mhm.
And they can, again, give you supplement. I take a vitamin D and a fish oil every day. And all of those things can be valuable information. But sometimes that same attempt at health is a slippery slope down into diet culture
Mm.
because it turns into this restriction situation where, okay, now you cannot have dairy, you cannot have gluten, you cannot have it. Whenever you restrict something, it becomes the thing that you can't stop thinking about. And it
Mhm.
becomes almost feels like it's addictive and you feel like you just got to beat yourself and be more disciplined. And so I just, I
Mhm.
want people to be mindful of that. And then sometimes the other part of this is we make adjustments to how we move and what we consume. And we are getting healthier because we are listening to our bodies. We're looking at our blood work and we're being specific to us, right? We're not just following
Right.
someone's diet on the internet. But that doesn't always result in weight loss. And that's what people need to understand. We can
Mm.
work on being healthier. We can get stronger. We can get more flexible. We can have better endurance. We can get our blood pressure down, our blood sugar numbers in order, and our
Yeah.
body weight might stay the same
Mhm.
or it might go up. And the problem is for all of our lifetimes, we've associated weight gain with worsening health, and that's not the case.
Mm.
So I want people to recognize that your body is supposed to change all throughout your life. It will be hormonal stuff. And I think sometimes we are conditioned to believe that changes in our hormones is bad. Like, oh
Mhm.
my God, my hormones are out of whack and I'm gaining weight. What must I do? I mean, I get it as a woman, right? When things change and you got to start buying bigger pants, it's uncomfortable. But there's also something physiologically happening that we may not want to interfere with or interrupt because our bodies have a lot of wisdom. And that's not to say that we don't have conditions and medical issues and things that need to be addressed, but our bodies hold a lot of wisdom. And
Mm.
sometimes what we think is a problem is not a problem. It is just a part of a change that our bodies are going through. And I think we're just so set on fixing everything or staying the same our whole lives, and we're just not supposed to. So
Yeah.
if there's something that I would want people to take away from this conversation would be that your body is supposed to change. And when it starts changing, don't automatically think something is wrong, that you have to fix it, that you have to reverse it. Our bodies were never meant to stay the same our entire lives. We
Mhm.
don't look at babies crazy when they get bigger every month or every year. You know what I mean? Like, we don't like,
Yeah.
oh my God. It's a part of the development. We continue developing throughout our lifespan. So your body will change, and it's great to seek holistic health care. It's great to do things to take good care of yourself, but just recognize that taking care doesn't always mean managing, maintaining, or losing weight.
I think that's such a good perspective, especially for someone like me who is just starting on this journey. And my only indicator outside of how I feel
Mhm.
amazing, but the only other indicator is the number on the scale. And
Yeah.
I 100% see your point that that shouldn't be the indicator, right? Especially
Mhm.
if I am feeling better. But I would love your thoughts on in what scenario would the change maybe not be good? I don't know. And I would
Mhm.
love your advice.
Yeah. When you say the change, you mean changing in weight up or down, or
Yeah, or
okay.
just the change in your body, or maybe how
Mhm.
you feel, or the bloat, or any of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. So a lot of it goes back to what you said, feeling it within your own body. I think that what we miss a lot in our modern healthcare system is this connection, this mind body connection. We really don't have it with our Western medicine setup. We are really taught to believe that it's brain over here and body over there.
Mm,
And feeling something doesn't really mean anything. But when we are in tune with our bodies and we know something doesn't feel normal or doesn't feel healthy or feels uncomfortable, that's when it's time to like, okay, what needs to change? How do I need to shift? Am I developing an allergy to something? Kind of, the same reason
mhm.
you went to see your naturopath. Like, why am I breaking out all of a sudden? Why am I struggling to breathe or feeling stuffy all the time? Why am I bloating and it's uncomfortable? I put out a post a few months ago that was like, everybody's all bloating, fix the bloat. And I'm like, you know that there are wonderful foods that we eat that make us bloated and it's okay. Like, it's just a passing thing, right? It's like beans are so good for you. You eat them, you're bloated for a minute and then it goes away. Every month, if you're a menstruating woman, you probably bloat. It's normal and healthy. So it's more so about like, this bloating is uncomfortable. Like, I
Mm,
can't move in a normal way. It feels painful, maybe, and it's not associated with my menstrual cycle. Or, you're not voiding, you're not having bowel movements consistently, you're seeing effects on your skin where you're losing like complexion and really the crazy thing, the one thing that is very relevant in our healthcare system is when someone shows up with unexplained weight loss, that is the red flag. So
wow.
that is the thing that makes us like put up an eyebrow, like, okay, you weren't trying to lose weight and you lost weight. Okay, let's talk about that. Those are typically red flags for serious conditions like cancers and autoimmune diseases. So people focus very heavily on weight gain. I gained weight, something must be wrong, but it's usually in the reverse. It's the weight loss that's problematic. So primarily knowing your body,
Mhm.
asking questions of your physicians and your healthcare practitioners, getting healthcare practitioners who listen to you and care about you, they work for you. So if they're not talking to you, if they're not spending time with you, fire them
Yeah.
because you need to work with people who are going to listen to you because this is a collaborative process. I tell all of my patients and clients, you are the expert of your body. I am not. I have never lived there. You have lived there for however many years you've been alive. You know your body better than anyone else. So being in touch with yourself and knowing when something just doesn't feel right and asking the right questions, and taking notes. People go to doctors and they don't take notes. They don't know what procedures they've had or why. They're scared or uncomfortable asking questions. Like, we have to move past that to be able to take really good care of ourselves. And that's how you'll know when some shift or change in your body or how you function is an issue or just a part of a natural change.
Oh, that's incredibly helpful. And I love your guidance on your primary care physician should be listening to you. I saw this naturopathic doctor maybe a couple weeks after I saw my primary care doctor. And my primary care doctor mentioned, oh, your vitamin D is just a little low, nothing to worry about. But, I got that second opinion and
Mhm.
it was actually you probably should take some vitamin D. And
Absolutely.
it's a little scary because when you don't know or you don't have any idea and you are trusting these medical professionals and they're doing
Mhm.
what they do, seeing all the people, it can be worrisome. So I love that you say
Yeah.
that. And there should be a difference, definitely.
Definitely. And it's okay to get a second opinion. It's a great idea to get a second opinion. And I do think vitamin D is one of those things too, where I've definitely had that exact experience where I'll get tested and it's like, oh, it's low-ish. But when you speak with a naturopath, they have different ranges for
Mhm.
optimal health. And so, yeah, and there's a huge difference in the way that you feel when you have full supplementation of vitamin D. And what I learned from my naturopath, you might have learned this as well, because a lot of people are like, well, it's warmer now. I'm going to be outside. I'll get more vitamin D from the sun. That's beautiful. But I was taught that we only really absorb vitamin D through our trunk. So you need to actually be outside like topless or in a bikini top to really absorb enough from the sun. I don't know. This is not something I've researched, not my area of expertise, but with my naturopath, that was a thing. And so taking the supplement made the biggest difference because I don't spend a whole lot of time outside topless absorbing vitamin D. So there's that. A little
Yeah.
aside.
Oh, well, I've had the same kind of thought process that, oh, I just need to be out in the sun and then I'll get my
Hmm.
vitamin D. But, I'm in Texas and there's a lot of sun here and my vitamin D is still low. So
Hmm.
clearly something needs to shift.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I know there are a lot of listeners in my community that do struggle with just health and weight and things like that. And, I would love your thoughts on what initial first steps you would share with women who do struggle with losing weight, but also keeping in mind what you said. Maybe
Hmm.
gaining weight isn't a bad thing, but if this is something that truly is bothering them and they do want to pursue that route, and they can't pinpoint why they're gaining weight or why they
Hmm.
can't lose weight, what advice would you give them?
Well, my advice would be to sort of take a step back. As a coach, as a physical therapist and a coach, I tell people very transparently, if you're coming to me because you're hoping to lose weight, I'm probably not the best coach for you because it's just never going to be my focus because
Mhm.
it doesn't align with my values personally or professionally. But I respect everybody's desire and autonomy to do whatever they think is best for their bodies. If you want to have gastric bypass, if you want to take the weight loss drugs, if you want to have liposuction, like whatever you want to do that you think will help you feel good about yourself and be healthier, I support you doing it. I just may not be the person to coach you in that way. But what
Mhm.
I like to do is have my clients take a step back and ask the tough questions. The first
Mhm.
question is why? Why is it that you believe you need to lose weight? And a lot of times people be like, well, since I've been heavier, I have diabetes or I have pain in my joints or I have this. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Okay. What if I told you that you can improve these conditions whether your weight changes or not? And then most people are like, are you sure? And I know that it's not traditional because typically the thought is if I make decisions that make my body smaller, which typically means I exercise more, I move more, and I eat less. That is about 90% of all diets and lifestyle programs. That's the prescription, right? So if I do those things, I will lose weight and all these other things that are happening will either go away or get better. Well, here's the reality, especially when we talk about something like diabetes, right? People think that eating lots of sugar, gaining weight means you get type 2 diabetes. Well, a lot of the research is really showing that the type 2 diabetes is occurring likely due to genetic factors and other issues outside of our control, like environment, and it's causing the weight gain. It's actually not the
Mm.
reverse. There's a correlation between lung cancer and male baldness, right? So a lot of people who have lung cancer are bald. So we're going to treat the baldness and see if the lung cancer gets better. That's
Mm.
not how it works. And that's how it is with most medical conditions. If you stay abreast of the research that is current, that is reliable, that is not funded by people in the weight loss industry, that is key here. Then what you will find is that we are chasing a symptom and not the problem. So
Mm.
let's back it up and let's say, okay, what are the things that are bothering you? And then what I usually get to with my clients is it's hard to move. I feel uncomfortable. I'm not able to walk up and down the street or up and down the stairs, or I feel sluggish. I don't have energy. I'm always tired. Like it's different things. And the weight is just one of the many symptoms of something else going on. So
Mm.
we're not going to hyper focus on this correlative factor. We're going to pull back and focus on the things we can actually make a difference on instantly. Here's the reality. Diets fail at a rate of 98%. So that
Mm.
means if 100 of us go on a diet, the best diet we can come up with, the best money in the world, 98 of us will either not lose weight at all or lose weight and then gain it back within 1 to 3 years.
Mhm.
That
That
is
would
what
be.
we do. It's called the diet cycle. and it's toxic to our bodies because it creates diseases in our bodies. And that's why it's so bad. That's why I strongly urge people not to even invest in diets and diet culture, because you end up less healthy. You end up straining your heart, and then you increase your risk of dying from cardiovascular issues like it doubles your risk. And so we would be better served by eliminating weight from the equation and saying, what can I do to make myself stronger, more flexible, get my blood sugar in alignment, all of these things, and work with professionals that can support you, that are anti-diet, that don't say, okay, just cut your calories. Because cutting calories, all it does is creates this physiological response in our bodies to lower your metabolism, increase your appetite, because your body just wants to keep you alive. And we can't function. I'm sure you experienced this on keto. We can't function under nourishing ourselves and taking away our body's favorite energy source, which is carbohydrates. Like, I hate that carbohydrates have become the devil in our society. They are your brain and your body's primary energy source. If you eliminate them, you are using your muscle tissue for fuel. And I've heard professionals describe it like living in a beautiful log cabin and wanting to start a fire, but instead of going outside to get the good carbohydrate trees growing, you're just tearing down some of the wood in your cabin and burning it for your energy. It literally makes no sense. You're breaking down your own body for avoiding carbs or whatever. So, very long answer to say, start with the why. Why do you want to lose weight? Let's talk about what you really want, because it's really not the weight. And sometimes it is, because sometimes there's an aesthetic goal. And I think we need to be honest about that. But just know, again, I support your decision to do whatever you want, but aesthetics and health are not the same.
Right.
Okay. You can be in the largest body you've ever had and be the healthiest mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. You can also conversely be in the thinnest body, the most tone looking body you've ever had, and be the least healthy you've ever been. And I work with people in the eating disorder community, and I can tell you 85% of the time that has been their experience. When they are the smallest they've ever been and getting compliments from people, they are in their most unhealthy state. But our world views that as health and views fatness as the absence of health. And that we have to shift the paradigm in our heads and start to get at what is really important and what is really healthy for us. And that's different from person to person, and what's not so healthy.
That is incredibly helpful, and a good thing that all women, people in general, need to keep in mind.
Are you loving this episode so far? Well, the money and life level up conversations never end in the City Girl Savings community. Visit citygirlsavings.com for instant access to resources that help you budget, level up your money mindset, and so much more. And make sure you stay up to date with CGS by following us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at City Girl Savings.
You know, you mentioned carbohydrates, and obviously with me doing the keto diet years ago, I got rid of carbs, and it was a recipe for disaster. I do not recommend it, but I want to talk about your thoughts on good carbs and bad carbs, right? Like, are all carbs the same? And if not, where are those distinctions, right? I think there's, at least for me, there's a gap in knowledge of, okay, well, I'll just have carbs. I'll just eat a big bowl of pasta and I'll be good to go. And maybe that's not the way to go, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, let me say, I always do a disclaimer here too, because again, I encourage people to get nutrition information from people who go to school and understand nutrition. And that is not me. That is not your medical doctor. That is a dietitian or nutritionist who has education. And I'm biased to the ones that are anti-diet because they understand how to teach people to nourish themselves in ways that's not restrictive. So what I will say is, in general, I do not label foods good or bad. I do not label foods junk. I don't label foods clean. I think clean food is vegetables and produce that you've rinsed off or cleaned off. So, and there's a reason for that, right? Because it speaks to the psyche of how we engage with ourselves. If we talk about eating bad foods, we inherently start to believe that we are bad or we're making bad choices. So when we link morality with food and movement choices or diet, whatever, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So you're not bad because you ate some Doritos that you consider junk food or bad food. Like, it doesn't speak to who you are as a human. And that's one thing I like to separate. So the distinction that we make is there are carbohydrates that have more fiber in them, and there are carbohydrates that have less fiber in them. There are carbohydrates that have more additional nutrients in them, And you can look on the side of the label and see those. And there are carbohydrates that have less additional nutrients. So we have more nutritious foods and less nutritious foods, and that's it. But your diet should consist of both of those things. Should you try to lean more toward the more nutritious ones? Absolutely. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the less nutritious ones. There's nothing wrong with having a big bowl of pasta. Should you do that every single day? Probably not. But if you're in tune with your body, here's the thing. The things that we have been taught to believe that the things that we enjoy are addictions for us and we need to keep them out of the house or we're going to go crazy. I used to be this way. My 13-year-old daughter can attest to you that she grew up in a very scary household in her toddler years because I did not have certain snacks in the house. And she was very much missing out on delicious foods. But since we believe that we are addicted and that if we have it here, we're going to go crazy, we never allow ourselves to have it. So that is literally what happens. We feed that loop. What really happens is if you expose yourself to the thing that you think you're addicted to, something called habituation takes place. Whereas now it's not very desirable because it's here every day. I used to never have cookies because I would just shove them in my mouth. And once I got over it, I did. I shoveled them in my mouth for a minute. And then I realized, ugh, my stomach hurts. Or, oh, I don't even like these cookies. I never even liked them. They were just a source of sugar or dessert that I deprived myself of. So now literally cookies expire in my pantry. And it's mind blowing because I have 3 children and they like cookies, but they're the same as me now. They have access to the thing. So it doesn't become this all encompassing, oh, I got to have it. Let me shovel them down every day. That's habituation, giving yourself freedom. So I subscribe to the theory of intuitive eating. It's an amazing book by Evelyn Tribbley and Elise Resch, but it's called Intuitive Eating. And that's one of the steps in there is giving yourself unconditional permission to eat what you want. And then you have to go through a stage. Yes, you go through a phase. You might gain weight. Things might change. But once you give yourself that permission, now you know what tastes good, what doesn't, what feels good, what gets you backed up, what makes you feel more comfortable, how it affects your body, where your energy levels are. So then you can make informed decisions based on all of those things versus bad food, good food. Yes, no. It's like, that's not healthy for anyone. So there are differences between carbs. There are differences between all types of foods, but it's really about more nutrition versus less nutrition and then how it affects your body specifically. If you have a gluten allergy, you shouldn't have gluten. And it sucks because that is definitely restrictive. Like gluten is freaking everywhere. And I feel so bad for you people who have a gluten allergy. But if you have celiac disease, like it can kill you. It's not worth it. You understand?
Right.
But that's on an individual basis. That should not be a rule for all people. And that's the problem. We want to adopt these rules that say you can have this, but not this. And you can have that, but not that. And that doesn't work for humans because we're very diverse.
I think a major theme I'm finding with this conversation is being aware, being mindful, like what you eat or how you move, how is it making you feel? And I think that's huge. It's very easy to mindlessly eat, right? Or if you're hungry, you just stuff your body and, oh, well, I'm just full because I ate too much. But if you're paying attention and being mindful, you can catch those things and really see what serves your body and what doesn't.
Absolutely. Mindful eating. It's very akin to intuitive eating, but that is the thought process is that you are listening to your body, you're eating slowly, you're being attentive to your eating, and you're making a point of noticing when you're starting to get full, the early signs of fullness, so that you're not feeling stuffed, and also the early signs of hunger, so you're not starving and emaciated every time it's time to eat, because that is always a recipe for overstuffing yourself. So it's about self-compassion and kindness in how you approach food versus restriction and binging, because restriction just breeds binging. It's just back and forth. We restrict, we binge. And that comes from punishing yourself or disliking yourself or not thinking you're worthy or hating your body. That is not the recipe for good health. I always tell people we don't get beautiful flowers or leaves or plants of like health and happiness from seeds of shame and nasty stuff. Like that's not what grows from that. So going back to the basics.
Well, it's funny, I'm a personal finance coach and When you deprive yourself of spending, you end up splurging. There's a direct correlation with your diet and the way you
That is
eat.
such a good point. I've not thought about that, but you are so right. You are so right. And also, right in line with that, if you want to save some money this spring and summer, don't invest in another diet. Like,
Yes.
don't eat, because it's literally, I did a post yesterday about this. It is literally taking your money and throwing it into the trash and then feeling bad when you don't achieve the goals and reinvesting and doing it again. And these companies, that is a part of their bottom line. They know people are going to fail and you're going to come back because the onus is on you. You messed up. You didn't work hard enough. You weren't consistent. Come on back. We got half off this month,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you want to save some money and be savvy financially, not my area of expertise at all, but don't invest in another diet.
Well, if you want to feel healthy and feel better, don't invest in another diet. Saving money is just another added benefit to that.
Another added benefit. I love that. Oh, yeah, but that restricting yourself from spending and splurging, that could not be more true. I have absolutely done that.
So, Dr. Lisa, I know you do health and body image coaching as well. And one thing that I think you work with clients on is toxic relationships with food. I would love to hear more about that. And how would someone know if they have a toxic relationship with food? And does trauma play a role in that? And if so, do you have any examples?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So I try to practice from a trauma-informed and an eating disorder-informed lens. Primarily, the clients I work with are in large bodies and or in eating disorder recovery. So trauma is huge because a lot of times the impetus for these issues and this discomfort around food stem from our childhood. It stems from our loving, wonderful parents who were doing the very best that they could, but who were in the mirror talking bad about their own bodies, who were at Weight Watchers and taking the kids with them and encouraging them to lose weight and be healthy, right? Mm-hmm. So it stems from comments from family members when you come home from college break and you're a little bigger than you were when you left. It stems from, people just feeling like they have the right to sort of police your body and make comments about it. So there's so much trauma in a micro way and in a macro way. We're all traumatized growing up in the 80s and 90s because television was all about fat shaming and fat phobia and weight stigma. There was never a love interest who was a woman of size. You were thin. If you were a woman of size, or large bodied or fat, you were the comedic sidekick or you were the villain. And so we have all been traumatized around body image, just growing up in the society that we live in that has pretty much always preached thinner is better, even if the trends shift a little bit from decade to decade, where maybe a little curvier, but it's always been about being smaller, more toned, thinner. So yeah, it comes up every day, every time I'm working with a client. And it's difficult because most of the time when I'm coaching people, I kind of require or strongly recommend that they're working with a mental health therapist concurrently, because there are things that I just don't have the expertise to dig into. I can get into body image. We can talk about food. Definitely can talk about movement. That's my jam. But these deep-seated wounds that you're carrying around with you, you have to talk with a professional about that, and you have to work through those things. So a lot of my work stems around getting into the physical side of things. So many of the clients that come to me, and I work with men and women, mostly women, but men and women, because men have body image issues as well. It's around confronting the thing and normalizing our bodies. So one of the tasks I often give people is to, in your spare time, when you're home alone, in your room or whatever, go stand in front of the mirror butt naked. I just want you to look at yourself for 30 seconds. And you would be shocked by how many people can't do that, or how activating or triggering that is for people. Because people, when we don't like our bodies, we avoid the camera. We avoid the mirror. We don't want to see it. Mm-hmm. And the longer you avoid it, the longer I think there's a great analogy with money here too.
Yes. I thought it instantly.
Yes. It's so many synchronicities. The longer you avoid it, the more uncomfortable it becomes. And then you don't recognize yourself because you have spent all this time avoiding that thing and not facing it. You have to normalize your body. You have to start seeing your body in a new light. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I love my body. It's so beautiful. That is unrealistic for most of us, especially when we're starting. But you have to try to work toward a point where this is my body and I accept it. This body has carried me. This body carried me through a global pandemic. This body might have brought a child or two into the world. This body healed me when I was sick. this body has been here for me no matter what it looks like and how I'm struggling to accept it. It has been here for me. And when we start there with gratitude and appreciation, we can lean into body neutrality. We can lean into body respect. Whether we get to body positivity or not, that doesn't even matter. But those are the important aspects. What we don't want to stay in is body negativity, body hate, and body avoidance. So that's one of the tools I use. We start there. It's obviously many more things we work through, but I do think the important points are having mental health support when you're doing this, and then confronting a lot of those traumas and finding out where these thoughts around body came from, because it's never from us. We didn't create this stuff. This was embedded in us. And so when we start to see that and realize, oh my God, these weren't even my ideas, but I've adopted them, I've inherited them, and I believe them. And so once we can change the way we think and believe about bodies, we can start to feel better about our own.
Oh my gosh, so many synchronicities with finances, because if you have limiting beliefs about money and your ability to make money, your ability to manage money, that becomes your thought process and you act accordingly. It's crazy. It's all connected. It really is.
It is.
So I think it's very clear that there's so much more to women's health, men and women, but women's health than just diet and exercise. Obviously, our mind, our spirit, all of those things need to be protected as well. And I would love to hear some of your go-to healthy habits outside of diet and exercise that women can start implementing to just feel better overall.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so important, again, because we always try to separate the mind from the body, and they are together. They work together. They belong together. One impacts the other, period. So for me, healthy habits, primarily, I like to say I layer activities, right? So for example, if I am trying to get in some exercise, I know that my body needs to move. I have muscles and joints for a reason, right? I know that sitting still all day is never going to be great for me in the long term, but I want to move, but I don't want it to be punitive. A lot of our exercise and movement is punishment. What did you eat yesterday? Make sure you do this to work off I don't track things. I don't care how many calories I burn, how many calories I eat. I just want to live and enjoy, but I do like to layer things. So if I know that I want to get some movement in, it might be like, okay, I want to go for a walk and I want to calm my mind. So I'm going to make it a leisurely walk so I can look at birds, because I love birds and I love fresh air and I love sunlight on my face. Or it might be, gosh, I really want to move in a fun way. So I want to have some camaraderie with this. I'm going to invite a friend and we're going to go to this dance class. So I'm going to be dancing and moving, feeling the rhythm. It doesn't feel like exercise because it's something you just enjoy. And I have someone there with me that I love being around. So anytime you can layer something that's healthy or good for you in a more traditional fitness way with something that's good for your soul in like a feel good way. And it could be as simple as like, you know what? I never stretch my body. I'm going to do like a 10-minute yoga flow, but I'm going to turn down the lights. I'm going to light my favorite candles. I'm going to put on this calming music. I'm going to set an environment that is inviting and relaxing. So it's catering to you. I tell people, be stingy, be selfish as it relates to your self-care. Go all out. Self-care does not have to cost you a dime, but be really intentional. So journaling, every morning I do a stretch and prayer and meditation. I have on my screen, on my television, like nature pictures and birds and meditation music going in the background. I open my window next to my bed and I pull out my binoculars and I look for birds. I'm a bird. I'm turned into an old bird lady. I'm crazy. But I buy fresh flowers to have them in my house because I love the way they smell and what they make me think of. I intentionally sit and take time to think about people. I've lost all of my parents and grandparents. So I take time intentionally to think about them and reflect on positive memories. I might go back and look at old pictures or listen to music that we listened to together. I said stretching. Stretching is very underrated. That's something we should all be doing every day. That's how you will stay functional in many ways. I spend time with people who I love and who love me. Anything that I can do, I drink lots of water, so much water. I enjoy tea. I try to make sure that I'm nourishing my body all day long. I try not to get to a point where I'm ravished or really hungry, famished. I want to make sure I'm eating so many things. I work out in the morning because I know that once my day gets away from me, I can't get back to it as easily. So I get up in the morning and I commit the first 35 minutes of my day to me. That's when I'm stretching, meditating, saying a prayer, and doing like a 20-minute workout or something. So it's really about prioritizing your own care and recognizing that you can't keep pouring from an empty or even a half full cup. You got to fill yourself up and give to everybody else from your overflow. And I'm really big on the overflow. So anything that's filling you up, if you like it, you enjoy it, it makes you feel good, and it's not toxic to you, then keep doing it and do as much of it as you possibly can.
I love that. And I feel like the society we live in right now, it's just work and hustle and, get stuff done and burn yourself out. And that is just a recipe for disaster. So you gave some amazing suggestions for people to just wind down and slow down and rejuvenate and recharge and just feel better. That doesn't have to do with grueling workouts or crazy diets. Is very helpful.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're right. Burnout is really what our world is set up for. So rest, naps. I took a nap before this podcast. I was like, I stayed up a little later than normal last night and I had a full day, and I'm not done till 9:30 tonight, Eastern time. I took a 30-minute nap and it was amazing. So recognizing how productive rest is and how productive stopping and slowing down is. And you can be an overachiever and keep working on the next goal. But if you're not stopping to like smell the roses and take breaks, what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for?
Right.
So.
Oh, that's so true. And you're going to look up, all this time is going to pass and you're going to be like, whoa, I missed it all. I missed it all.
I worked so hard, I didn't live.
Yeah. Oh, that's so encouraging. So I want to transition a little into physical therapy. I know that is one of the services that you offer. I have never been to physical therapy, and maybe
that's good.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, hopefully that's a good thing, but I don't know if it's because of, just a gap in knowledge. But is physical therapy designed only for people who have been injured or who are working through chronic conditions, or can anyone benefit? Can you provide a little bit of information on that?
Yes. So physical therapy, I love this field. I feel so great, so blessed to have actually picked it at such a young age. I've been doing it 17 years now and I literally love it. I get up every day and it's not like I'm going to work. So that is an awesome feeling. And so, yes, physical therapy has very general applications to anyone, honestly. And some people build whole practices on seeing people that don't have any pain, which is funny.
Wow.
The thing about physical therapy education is we are movement experts. So we are able to look at the body and see how it moves and how it is positioned and sort of point out, I won't go as far as to say bad things, but like minimal dysfunctions or deviations from kind of midline or the norm that might prevent an injury later on from happening. So the preventative care in physical therapy is a phenomenal way to utilize physical therapy services. And in most states in the United States, it's a direct access situation, meaning you don't have to go to your primary care physician and get a referral. You can just call up a physical therapist and say, I want an evaluation. I just want to get checked out. And yeah, it's a great way to prevent issues. So we look at your posture. So we'll look at your standing, sitting posture. We'll look at your body mechanics and how you move. We will talk about if there's pain or if there's any issues or if there's things that you've been wanting to do or used to be able to do and that you can't do. We'll check your strength, your range of motion, your flexibility. We'll prescribe you exercises and stretches to help restore good posture or flexibility or to improve your strength. We give lots of recommendations on like ergonomics, your setup at work, your posture for, making sure you don't have work-related injuries, because that's what I see a lot of people for. Back pain is probably the biggest condition that I see. And so a lot of preventative work there. Most of us don't have strong cores. We don't know what that means. We think that means do crunches and sit-ups, and it's absolutely the worst thing you can do. So there's so much education you can gain. But yes, we work with people. My youngest patient was 12 hours old. She was a baby born with a brachial plexus or nerve injury. And I had to show the mom how to secure her arm and do therapy exercises to get it stronger. My oldest patient was, I think, 103, 104. She was actually in a skilled nursing facility and she just needed some support getting in and out of bed and standing. So, you can work with anybody in this field. Is why I love it. And it's applicable to anyone. So a condition you're born with, a chronic thing, something you start to develop over time, a car accident, a sports injury, literally limitless opportunities. Or like I said, no pain or issue at all, just wanting to get checked out and see how things are going for your body and see if there are recommendations to help you prevent injuries.
So anyone can benefit. It sounds like a fantastic idea for everyone to consider, whether you're in pain or not, just because you can learn so much from it that can prevent pain or help you if you do have pain.
Yeah, it just gives you the knowledge to sort of be more in tune with your body. I think anytime we can go to a professional and learn more about ourselves and it's how to prevent and protect ourselves and help ourselves, you're definitely in a good position.
Do you have any tips on what people can keep in mind when they are seeking out a physical therapist? So someone like me, I have no idea. And there are a lot of options I know because I see signs everywhere. Are there things that I should look out for?
You know, that's a tough one because typically, yes, there are things you should look out for, but it has more to do with what you're going for, right? So if you have a specific condition, you want to try to find a therapist who you know works with that condition. If it's for a general thing, then you can just go see a generalist. It's no big deal. But I would say more than half of the progress we see in physical therapy has to do with rapport and having a good relationship with therapists. So sometimes it is about a personality fit more than anything else. And I would say this is beyond physical therapy. This is in all medical settings. If you have a healthcare provider that you have a good rapport with, that listens to you, that talks to you, that asks questions, that makes eye contact, that cares, you're going to get better every single time. And there could be another option over here who's smarter and has more certifications and degrees. But if they don't know how to talk to you, it doesn't even matter. It's like that education means nothing. So I think it's about finding the right fit for your personality and or finding someone who is within the specialty that you're looking for, if that is a thing. And then, of course, you know, some of us are limited by our health insurance. There's a lot of us who are cash-based. I do primarily cash-based, but I am in network with one insurance company. So sometimes we have to make the decision based on our insurance or the bottom line, our pockets. But I would just say my best advice would be find a therapy practice or therapist where there is one-on-one care. Because unfortunately, with the state of health insurance in our country and the reimbursement rates getting lower and lower, there are a lot of physical therapy practices where you go in to be seen and your therapist is really sweet. They're talking to you, but then they have 4 other patients at the same time. And that is definitely not the way to make sure you're being seen and heard and getting the best care. And that's not a knock to the therapist because I know they're doing this out of necessity. But that is not how I practice. I'm all about one-on-one care, face-to-face, 1 hour, just me and you. So if you can find that, that's what you really want.
And I'm assuming it's okay to shop around too, right? And just find that fit for you.
We work for you. So find what you need. Absolutely.
So, Dr. Lisa, I have zero doubt that there is someone listening to this episode that struggles with body issues. What would you tell them? What piece of advice would you give them so that they can start working through those issues and hopefully feel better?
My first piece of advice would be an affirmation. And that affirmation is, you are so much more than a body. I just want people to know that these little meat suits we're cruising around the earth in. And I don't know who told me meat suit, but it was not from me. I got that from someone else in this world. But this meat suit is not even the most interesting thing about you. And even though it feels like it's everything because this is what you live in and you've experienced the world in it, it's not. It's only a small part of who you are. And once we can start to lessen the significance of our appearance, and that's hard because we all want to look good and feel good, right? But I just need people to understand, take yourself out of it. See yourself as a child or see yourself as your very best friend. You don't hold any less value for anyone that you care about based on the way they look. You don't. You do not treat a child worse because they're bigger. You do not treat your mom or your grandmother worse because they don't have the abilities they used to have. We love people because of the people that they are inside. And if God forbid you walked out the door and you were in a tragic car accident and you couldn't do anything anymore but talk, you would still be a full, whole, valuable human. So I just want people to know you are so much more than a body, and take the focus off of what you look like and shift it to what you feel like, what you're putting out into this world, what you're doing with your time, energy, your talents, and things like that. So let's lessen the focus on the body and focus on what actually matters.
Oh, that's incredibly inspiring. That's such great advice. Dr. Lisa, where can listeners connect with you? Because I have no doubt they will want to, because your approach and your mindset views on body image and health, it's such a breath of fresh air. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Yeah. So I live on Instagram. It is my stomping grounds these days. So you can follow me there. It's at Healthy Phit, and Fit is actually spelled PHIT. And then my website is the same, healthyphit.com. I'm on Facebook, and probably that's it. I think I got rid of X and TikTok. It's too much to keep up with, but you can follow me there. I have some courses available. I have a journal called the Body Respect Journal. It's available on Amazon that you can get. And I'm responsive in my DM. So if you have a question, just ask. I'm happy to respond. We can set up a discovery call, 15 minutes and chat, but I'm here to help any way that I can. So
I will definitely link to your Instagram and your website in the show notes. And just out of curiosity, do you take virtual clients too?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Good to know.
Absolutely. And for coaching services, I can see people all over the world. So, and I do. For physical therapy, you do have to be local to North or South Carolina, virtual or in person, but that's because of my, licensing requirements. But yes, virtual coaching all over the world.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for this incredibly informative and inspirational conversation. You've definitely helped open my eyes to just thinking about health in a more holistic, broader view than just what I look like. And I appreciate that very much. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for letting me be the money coach in your ear today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the City Girl Savings Podcast and you feel empowered and motivated to take the next step in the journey to your dream life. Remember, if someone like me, a millennial who loves to travel, new experiences, and iced coffees can live a life they love on a budget, you can too.